Hey guys, are we live? I seem to be having a problem with my camera. All right, so we'll make do. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff happening here. All right, so hey, welcome back. It's another Your 15-Minute Biz Breakthrough. I'm Kelly Jennings, aka Coach Kelly, and today we are talking about For the Want of a Nail. For the Want of a Nail. And this sort of came to me this week as I was thinking about planning. And I don't know, gosh, I haven't heard this proverb in a really long time, but it was for the want of a nail. For the want of a nail. Hey, Sarah. So here's the proverb in case you're not familiar with it. It says, for the want of a nail, the shoe was lost. For the want of a shoe, the horse was lost. For the want of a horse, the rider was lost. For the want of the rider, the message was lost. For the want of the message, the battle was lost. For the want of the battle, the kingdom was lost. And for the want of a horseshoe nail. So it's attributed to Benjamin Franklin, but a little research turned up that actually some variation on this proverb has happened for centuries. And essentially it is supposed to be, sort of describing planning, but in the sense of like a battle. So for, just because somebody overlooks something stupid and simple like a horseshoe nail, an entire kingdom was lost. And so that got me thinking about like, well, what if we're not talking about a battle and a war exactly, but we're talking about your business. The war is, your quest to accomplish the lifestyle that you want, or to have the business that you want that actually achieves the results that you're looking for in your life. And whether that's more influence or more connection or more sales or whatever, more freedom in your life, that's lost. And it's lost because the battle, your sales presentations, your public speaking, your advertising, didn't get through. That's your message. Your message didn't get through. Why didn't your message get through? Because you didn't have a way to get it through. Your horse didn't make it through. You didn't have a rider for your horse. And why didn't that happen? Because the nail. And the nail was the simple part of the planning. So that's what I sort of want to talk about here today. So what is a plan? Like some people just like, you would be astonished how many people, or maybe not, maybe you're one of them, just look at me and they're like, they get the concept and the theory, but they're like, what is a plan? Like, how do I do that? Especially if you're a solo or small business venture, right? You're on your own to accomplish whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. So how is that relevant? And people sometimes immediately assume business plan, which is essential. Even if you're a lone person, even if you're just a solo actor, as I started out my life as an actor, if you don't have a plan of how you're going to have a career as an actor, you're going to have a hard time. I'm just going to say that. You're going to have a hard time. So let's talk about what is a plan. So visiting our trusty dictionary, the regular dictionary and also a business dictionary, we come up with this definition. A plan is a detailed proposal for doing or achieving something. A detailed proposal for doing or achieving something. Some synonyms. It's a long day today, people. Synonyms. Procedure, scheme, strategy. And from the business dictionary, we get a written account of an intended future course of action, a scheme, aimed at achieving a specific goal or goals within a specific time frame. A plan explains in detail what needs to be done, when, how, and by whom, and how often, and at best case scenario, the expected cases and the worst case outcomes. So that's a plan. Do you have one? Don't worry if you don't. We can make that happen for you. So that's what a plan is. Who needs a plan? You need a plan. You do. According to this guy, Tim Barry, who wrote an article in Entrepreneur magazine, and he teaches the art of business planning. But he says only about 10 to 15% of teams that he encounters worldwide, 10 to 15% worldwide, have an effective business plan. That means there's something like 80 to 85%, 90% of people who don't have a plan. And these are big businesses. These are big businesses. They don't have a plan or an effective plan. Maybe they have a plan, but it's not terribly effective. If you want to effectively get from point A to point B, whatever that is for you, I want more projects this year. I want to go on more auditions. I want to book more gigs for my band. I want to have sold 15 more quilts this year than I did last year. I want to make $1,000 more in my business this year than I did last year. I want to have more influence in my field. I want to be known, as the top expert in whatever it is you do, right? I'm the top expert in quilt making. When you need to know how to make a quilt, you're the go-to quilt person. You want to have more influence in your community. Hey, if I sell more quilts, I can give more quilts away to needy people, homeless shelters, refugees. So if you want to have an effective way to get from point A to point B, you need a plan. Now there's different kinds of plans that you can make, and you should probably have at least one of each. But let's go through them. Sorry, I'm just following my notes here, and my camera's weird, so you're getting the whole steady cam, the unsteady cam today. Or let me go back to this. How do you start? Because some of you are like, well, how do I start with a plan? All right, so start by writing down the details that you want to accomplish. What are your strengths? What are the weak areas? What matters? What are the results that you're looking to accomplish? And then who is responsible for that? Last week we talked about hats, all the hats that the solo business person wears. This might be you. You might be wearing all the hats. It could be as you make your plan, that you realize you need to recruit some help. Maybe you didn't know that until you actually wrote down the plan. Maybe you knew it, oh, I should really get some help. But until you actually see it down on a piece of paper, it doesn't really strike you as oh, I really need to get some help. Okay? Or it's going to help you figure out, I'm sorry, there's all kinds of tech stuff happening right around me. Great. Yes. Make it happen. So you have your plan. And that's how you're going to get from point A to point B. And whoop, there we go. Sorry, guys. Every week is an interesting venture in technology. So you're going to write down, your strengths, your weaknesses. What are the details? What are the results that you want to get? This is going to help you also communicate what it is you're looking to do to your prospective buyers, to your clients, as well as maybe other people. If you're lucky, you have a team of people or other business partners. Maybe you have joint venture partners. You need to communicate your vision to them. That's what a plan is going to help you do. And it's going to help you communicate to your customers and clients as well. What is it that you're trying to accomplish? What do you want to accomplish? Define your success, right? In your plan, define what does success look like? How do we know that you're actually how do we know? Sorry, camera's breaking up. There's all kinds of weird stuff happening here today. How do we know what success looks like? How do you know you've accomplished it? How do you know you've accomplished it? Because if you don't have that written down, it's really easy to go by. You don't know that you accomplished it. Then you don't celebrate your victories because you don't even recognize that you accomplished them. So that's part of your plan. Define your success. And then you have to put an action steps into motion, right? So what happens first, second, and third? All right, so there's different types of plans that you can do. Strategic planning is a familiar one for many people who follow me, right? Strategic plans are all about why things need to happen. It's your mission, it's your vision, it's the big bird's eye view of your business. That's your strategic plan. And a strategic plan is generally longer than a 1-year plan, but you're a solo business. So if you want to start with a 1-year plan, that's great. The important thing about a strategic plan, don't just do it and then shove it in a desk drawer or a bookshelf somewhere. You need to keep going back to any of these plans. These are living documents, like house plants. You need to visit them and trim them and water them and monitor them. All right, so that's your strategic plan. It's the high level overview of everything that's happening. Then you've got your tactical plans. Your tactical plans are what support the strategic plan. And that includes, the tactics. What needs to happen? What needs to happen? When does it need to happen? All right. They put the strategic plan into chunks so that there's a little more manageable. If the strategic plan is to take over the world, right, we might need to start with taking over a few countries first. And before we do that, we need to take over a few city states. And before we do that, we got to take over our own neighborhoods. All right. So if you're going to be master of the universe and queen of the galaxy, it starts with the strategic plan. That's the big vision. Then the tactical plan. All right, what needs to happen first? Then you need an operational plan. So operations are different than tactics. Operations ask how. How are we going to do that? What are the resources that we have, right? Who's responsible for what and when? And then some people add a contingency plan, right? A plan for what happens if it all blows up. What happens if it goes wrong? Then what happens? What's our plan B, C, D, E, and F? You've heard me talk about that. Stuff happens. You need to have a contingency, right? Even just in your day-to-day. I have 6 appointments today. Well, 3 of them blow me off. What am I going to do with that time? Am I just going to go, woohoo? Candy Crush? Woohoo! Got 3 hours to binge watch something on Netflix until my next appointment. Or maybe I get ahead on something else. Maybe I get a few sales calls in. Maybe I get a proposal knocked out. What's my backup if things don't go the way I expect them to? All right. Why do plans fail? All right. So plans fail because, and believe me, this one's just so ironic. As a person who started out as an actor and in the arts world and still works in the arts world, a lot of people, and especially in business, just dislike rules and constraints. They don't want to be defined or confined by some kind of thing. It's like, that's not who I am. I'm saying this is laughable because every time I've met a business person who's like, oh, you're an actor. Creative people don't like to follow plans. I'm like, really? That's very interesting. Have you ever produced a play? Have you ever produced an event? Because if we don't have a plan, we're screwed. Tickets go on sale for a project long before the project is even begun to be produced or planned, right? We've already sold tickets. So unlike a lot of folks in the business world who are like, we're launching the new blah blah phone in January, and then mid-December comes around and the company's like, well, we've had technical setbacks, and now it's going to be in March, and now it's going to be next September, and now it's going to be. Can you imagine, my actor friends? We're producing Hello Dolly, and tickets, opening night is February 1st, and we've sold tickets for February 1st, and then come, late December, we say, well, we've had some technical setbacks. Hello Dolly's not going to actually open till April. Right. So for all of you business folks who don't like to be constrained by things, that might be one of the reasons your plans go awry. Instead of thinking of them as constraints, think of them as a lot of freedom. Because now you know what the boundaries are. And within those boundaries, you are free to do as much as you possibly can accomplish within those boundaries. I don't know why the game show Supermarket Sweep is coming to mind. I never watched it except maybe like clips of it, but I understand like there's a time limit and a grocery cart, and as much as you can put in your grocery cart at the end of the time limit is yours, right? These are your strategy plans. These are your tactical plans, right? You have a tactical plan on which aisles am I going to go down first, and the constraint is the time limit, right? So if you're somebody who dislikes constraints, that might be a problem for you. Some people fail at planning because they like to live in crisis mode all the time. That's when they feel most alive. That's how they know work is work, because they're actually doing something and they're creating a crisis or they're solving a crisis. They love to put out a fire. It makes them feel very important. It is probably the least effective way to run any kind of a business that I can think of. If you are spending all your time running around putting out fires, when are you actually doing the thing that you're in business for? She says, inquiringly. Do you make quilts, but you're constantly running around trying to find the best deals on thread and where the best fabrics are, and oh no, my scissors aren't sharp? Well, the quilt contest is coming up. If you're just putting out fires all the time, And by the way, if you're doing that, you're probably tired. And when you're tired, you're stressed, you're emotionally wrapped up. So you're not thinking clearly, because we know that's the neuroscience, right? Stress deactivates the front part of our brain, the part where we have reasoning, the part where we're able to make decisions. Pretty critical skill if you're in business. So if you're tired and stressed, I promise you, you are not making the best decisions. You might think you are, but you're probably not. You wouldn't know because you don't have a plan. So stop being in crisis mode all the time. Usually the reason you're in a crisis is because you don't have an effective plan. You're someone who's had prior success without a plan. I've never had a plan before. Everything's just worked out for me. Everything's just worked out for me. That's super fun, y'all. You've just had all this great success. That's amazing. How are you going to duplicate that? How are you going to share as you move up the corporate ladder, as your business expands, as you bring on more people, you go from a solo business to a 2-person to a 5-person business? How are you going to replicate this alleged success with other people coming into your business? Because you don't have a plan. You have nothing to show them. You don't know how to communicate that. It is random and you are lucky, and congratulations. Like, seriously, that's great. Things have worked out for you. But the minute things don't work out for you, guess what? You won't know how to solve them. So you want to have a plan. You want to have a plan because you need to be able to scale and to duplicate and to replicate that success, not just hope and pray and rely on good odds. All right? Lastly, you might be somebody who just sort of lacks the self-discipline and you just want to get to results really fast, right? So you know that you get lazy and you just want to hurry up and get it done and get through stuff. Hey, I get it. Like, not everything we do in business is something that we love to do, but it's super not effective. And it's much like your counterpart above who's just had a lot of success without a plan. So planning is kind of a skill. It's a skill and you can learn it. If you've never done it before, I would suggest starting with something small. Maybe just plan a day, right? And as you get better at planning your day, plan your week, etc., etc. So how do you start and accomplish and do all of this stuff? Like, what do you do about it? Well, start from the beginning. Like I said, write down the details. Who needs to do what, what needs to happen, what are the specific results you're looking for? And then make it a habit to check in. You might want to start small. Like I said, start with planning your day. If you want to, you can start with planning your year. That's really the best practice, would be to start with planning at the end of a year. So as 2018 draws to a close, somewhere around November, December of 2018, you're going to be looking towards 2019. At the end of 2019, what do I want to be like? I'm going to imagine myself with my champagne glass and the clock's counting down, 10, 9, 8, and I get to look back over the last year and it's like, this is what I accomplished. I am so grateful that I was able to do this. I brought in this much money. I got $1,000 more in my business. I sold 15 more quilts than I did the year previously. I had this much more impact in the world. And I know that because I've had these measures and I can look back and I can see that that's what happened. That's where I'm starting from. I'm imagining that and then working backwards. If that's my end point, if that's my final curtain, my final bow, then what happened before that? What needed to happen at the mid-year point? Where did I need to be? What happened in each quarter? What happened each month? What happened each week? What happened each day? What were the things I needed to accomplish each day that moved me forward to what needed to happen each week, that moved me forward, that allowed me to accomplish something at the end of the month, quarter, half year, so that as the clock's counting down at the end of the year and I'm raising my champagne glass, I know exactly how I got there. And if I had setbacks, I know exactly what they were and what stopped me. And I know exactly where my weak points are moving into the next year. These are the things I need to address. I need to get some training in this or more people to help with that. Spend less time here and more time there. I'm aware of things. When you're aware of things, you can predict what is going to come forward. And that power of prediction is what allows you to put the odds in your favor of success. All right? So just get started, right? Just get started, make it a habit. If you're thinking, I just can't do it, remember, all for the want of a nail.